Good morning. No, I'm not going to do it today. No voice, man. No voice.
Man,
Hollering at you yesterday.
you was hollering?
Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris, and we are live. 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Carvey.
Good morning, man. There's some folks waiting on you.
Not really.
They was calling, man.
Really?
I want to make a comment.
Oh, okay. Well, now they can call. Make a comment.
Yeah, they can comment now.
414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. Let me do a cleanup on aisle 2. Yeah. Thank God for DJ. But DJ and Victor and Kenny, thank you all for correcting me. Shannon Smith did not play for Tom Crean. He played for O'Neal. That was who he played for. So that's who. So I said Tom Crean, wasn't Tom Crean. It was O'Neal that he played for there at Marquette.
How's your bracket, man?
Dude, I don't even waste time with it. But I'm just taking a look now. First of all, shout out to Marquette.
Yeah.
They really avoided the upset. Wisconsin could not.
Right. But I thought about that when we were all hanging out Friday here at the station.
Mm-hmm.
You basically jinxed them.
How did I jinx it?
Because you said typically when you have two teams like that, one of them's not going to win. And Marquette had already won.
No, that wasn't why the Badgers lost.
Yeah, you jinxed them.
Okay. Well, I'll be a jinx.
Didn't you say that Friday though?
Yeah, I did. But I'm when you saw the game, there. First of all, Wisconsin shouldn't have lost to James Madison University. No disrespect. As a matter of fact,
did you see how they got blown out yesterday?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And there you go. And so, again, it gets back to the theory: Goliath wins 70% of the time. I was cheering, even though I don't like the politics. Grand Canyon. The lowest playing Marquette. Marquette is upset. They're already upset. Look at it. The top seed. You made a point. Yeah. 16 starts on Thursday. Bucks look good yesterday.
Yeah, they did.
It makes a difference when you got Middleton, Giannis, and Dame.
Yeah, it makes a difference when you playing just about anybody.
Right.
I think Boston is a pretty good matchup for them.
Oh, Boston's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to beat Boston.
Yeah.
With Holiday, it's going to be tough. But we'll see. The Bucks looks like they're getting their footing. It helps that they have these 3 games at home, but they beat the number 1 team in the West yesterday, and they beat them convincingly. That game was kind of almost over in the second quarter. So, let's stay on the roll.
I'm on the Bucks were down when I first started. When I tuned to it, the Bucks were down by like 5 or 6 or something like that, and just took over.
Yep. So we got that. There was one other thing before we got to some serious stuff.
Well, I did want to say this too. Michelle Bryant is out for the week, ladies and gentlemen. Just to kind of really clean up, as you said, on aisle 2, do aisle 3. So she'll be out. You'll hear Keith in for her. Ironically, the re-recording that we heard this morning stated that Keith would be in, and he'll be in at 8:00 for her. So we'll figure out what we're going to do from 7 to 8. I don't know. We'll sing or something, Keith, until you get here. But in any case, yeah. So she's on assignment. She's doing the college tour.
Okay.
With the kids, not kids, the young folks. They're hitting up some colleges and so forth. She will do some call-ins and stuff like that with us throughout the week. So again, on assignment, nothing going on with her family or anything right now. It's actually a good trip.
Relationship with the
Yeah, she still has her key. Keon is out as well, so there's nothing going on there either.
Okay, all right. Everybody get
move
the
on. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. You want to take this call?
You know when you hear that when Debo is doing the lineup and you don't hear the lineup.
I got a call from one of the jocks yesterday. I don't hear my show in there. What do that mean?
I pointed that out to you. Huh? If it's the same person I'm thinking about, because I pointed that out to you.
Who was that?
I'm not gonna sit on the air. We'll do it on break. So anyway, that's usually an indicator when they no longer advertise your show. You might not be with us anymore. And I don't know if you noticed at the end of Michelle's program, they do a bumper for me going into my program. But if you don't hear that, Keith ain't here no more. No more Omar.
You want to take the call or where we going?
Yeah, I would take. Can I do this real quick call? Just let me because I
right
lose my mind. I picked up my godson last night, and so I was listening to the beginning of the Bucks game on the radio. I've been doing
that. I love listening on the radio.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird for him because they're very visual, and but it's interesting how they introduce the Bucks.
I've done it.
They do it in numerical order. So Lillard is 0.
Yeah.
Beasley is 5. Lopez is 11. Middleton is 22. Giannis is 34. So it still gets up where Giannis is still going to be the last one introduced, but they're doing it in numerical order. I didn't even notice that. All right. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I hope I got that right. Thanks for taking my call. I just want to say one. I did go to the brainstorming, and I'm glad to do that put up one thing because I thought it was deja vu. I said, from Michelle, I got all excited and said, well, where do I go get this killer? I'm all buzzed out here. Where can I go get this killer? Because you said this is a rerun show.
Oh, talking about the chili.
Yeah. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention, on the ballot now, the 29th is the last of the early voting. People, please remember one thing. Even though there's nobody running against the person, still circle it anyway. Because they have writing. And a writing can win if we just assume that person has nothing to worry about. He does. Somebody could be writing you. So make sure you still circle it anyway. And you miss out on a lot when you don't go and listen to these candidates. I was very impressed with Gorky and the excitement that you have for the city attorney's office and what they can do and how it can penetrate and get into our community. And you get a greater feel of who they are and what's going on.
So how did you feel about Aisha Griffin?
Why you have to put me on the spot?
Well, you were there. I was there. You said you was there. I was there. I'm just curious.
Okay.
You start calling names, you know.
Right. So,
okay, but check it out now. I didn't call no names.
Yes, you did. You said Evan Goyke.
Yeah.
You said Evan Goyke.
Oh, I did say that because I was impressed. I was impressed with a lot of them that are running. And I was also disturbed by some people that are taking their role as a control in a direction that is not there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Some people about potholes and making sure that people, the citizens are going to get their fair share. And I mean, come on. We need to be informed. We need to not go for the open door. And I'm going to tell you something. Martha Love, I love her. She is due all respect. And I did not like the way, what's her name, disrespected her.
Aisha Griffin?
Yes. But my thing is, what she stated, was it true?
I don't know. The point that they were making was...
I'm trying to figure out, could that have been the truth? And why have we not heard it before now?
Right.
But I don't think you can get in. Tell me what you don't do. But if you have to step on somebody, and because I don't come to this platform, don't mean I'm not showing up at a whole lot of other things. And
I
that's
thought
not
it was
good.
interesting the dynamics between Ballman and Ray Nitty. That was kind of interesting. In terms of
Yeah,
first of all, give Ballman credit; he showed up. Um, but it was interesting.
thank you very much. You compare. If you're running for a spot, just the occasion. Show me that you're more flexible than what you are. You have to be able to present yourself in more than just one fashion. Okay, I'm going to church. This is the way I was brought up. I'm sorry. I don't wear mine. And this is the way I was brought up in the business world when you go to work. I don't go to work looking like I'm going to wash some clothes. Nor do I look like I'm going to a formal affair with the blue jeans on. Hello. You know what I'm saying? Show me that you're about what you're about. And then for people's sake, always be respectful. Because if you got something to say, it's going to come. But we have a lot more. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with Trump and his money and all this stuff that's going on. And I'm going to tell you another thing with Biden. Everybody thinks that he's some kind of guy and he can stop this war. I'm telling you, all of us was on board when Israel did that first attack. None of us ain't on board with what's going on now. Biden is not on board. But he's got, they understand we have to negotiate. And look at Marjorie Greene. Once again, Republicans, y'all on a dog. Trump is still running things. Even if he don't win, this thing is going to terrorize us from now on. So we better be diligent about what we do. Thank you for taking my call.
And one of the interesting candidates who actually worked with saw almost every other day, or if not every day, was Rochelle Johnson Bett, who was running for a Milwaukee County Circuit Judge. And she was an attorney. My office used to be on the seventh floor outside of Family Court. And I did not know, I never knew her name. We always spoke, and maybe I did know her name. Uh, she was one of the people there. I saw Ted Chisholm. Ted Chisholm's running for treasurer, and nobody even knows. But I saw Ted, and there were a lot of people there.
Is any relation to Chisholm?
Yeah, they're really close.
His son, isn't it?
Like his son.
Yeah.
But I like Ted. I'm a big Ted Chisholm fan. I like Ted. First of all, he's very bright. He's good at what he does, and I understand.
Dad wasn't too good at what he did.
Yeah, Dad was. What did Keon say? His dad did what he was supposed to do.
No, I don't agree with all
What I
that.
mean by that is that we're not surprised that he would not be as quick to charge police officers or things like that, because look, the DA gets a lot of support from that police union. So what I'm saying is, no, that he's not running again. But guess what's going to happen? Most people are not even focusing on that race, and but we've had complaints, right? People call in. You just lodged a complaint, and I'm saying to people,
No, I just stated a fact.
No, you did, but it's a concern that you have, and I'm not. It's a legitimate concern, and so we've heard it when we've had controversial cases, and the DA has decided to err on or to side with
Justifiable shooting.
because he decided my guy, what's his name, Mensa, and so we'll see. Obviously, we will. That race must be in August, November.
I'm not certain.
This is a long ballot. Depending on where you live, it's two sides. So, all right, caller, welcome to the program.
Yeah, did the cops shoot somebody last night?
Huh? They did what?
Shot somebody.
Yeah. Allegedly, he shot at them, and then they shot back.
Right. That's what I thought I heard.
Yeah.
But anyway, Debo and Keon. I'm like,
Keith?
Kiefer. I'm like,
why'd you say my name first? It's Keith Show.
I know it, but I had to remember it ain't Keon on. I'm used to listening to Keon during the week. You on the weekend. I hear you on a blues show.
Yeah,
so
you know your way around, don't
you? Don't try to get me. But anyway, I even forgot what I was talking about. You messing me up. And he did that on purpose.
No, I did not.
He
Bro.
get to you every time, don't he, Steve? He get you
Yes, y'all
every
did.
time.
Man,
did
you
that
held
on
on.
purpose. You screwed
No,
me
you
up.
called earlier, man.
But anyway, yeah, I called early because I thought Michelle was on.
She was.
And, you said she was on vacation.
Okay, Steve. Did it come back to you yet?
He came now.
Okay.
Came to me then when you told me.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. But anyway. Hell, I forgot what he was on for. Y'all out of order.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, that's all.
It'll come back to you.
It'll
Call
come back to you. Phone lines open all day
Call
today.
back, man. It'll come back to you.
People working for y'all.
All right, man.
Write it down. That's what I have to do, man. Write it down. 414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. Yeah, I did. I was at community brainstorming, Keith Parris Cup reporter, and
Did you wear your press
I
pass?
did have it on. I did
We
have
need
it
to
on.
fix that thing up for you, man. It's looking a little.
Yeah, I probably. Do y'all still have the stuff for it?
Yeah, bring it on in here. I'll
I appreciate
relaminate it or something.
What I should do, but what I really should do is, and I don't know why I'm having this discussion on the air, but really get press credentials for the Republican National Committee. I know they're doing a press event. You got that? Yeah, I got it. So, but it's during the time of the program. Maybe I'll go down and see if I can get press credentials. It'd be something very interesting to witness and to cover.
You sure you want to be down
Yeah, I mean, we can't be scared.
there? Shit. You make me
I
talk
did,
like
and
Steve.
people laugh at me, but I did when we the Bucks did the march during George Floyd, and this was right before right before they went into the bubble. I don't know if it was right before they went into the bubble or they came out. But I was part of that, and I really did kind of cover that in terms of watching it from the beginning, stayed with it, and the whole piece. From because they marched from I served to the lakefront, and I remember being part of it. So we'll go down. I think you can't. It's hard to criticize what you have not been exposed to. So it would be interesting to go down and to see what's going on.
You can give us a call. Let us know what's going on down there.
Oh, y'all keep some bail money.
Roving reporter.
Right, keep some bail money now.
As Carolyn say, Snoop Newsworthy be down there. This is Keith Parris, Snoop Newsworthy. You ready? We're gonna take this call.
This is Ron Burgundy. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. I just wanted to say that you guys are awesome, and I want you guys to keep up the wonderful work. And we want to show these kids how to pull their pants up and stop sagging.
All right.
All right.
So,
Carvey, sagging ain't big now, is it?
I beg your pardon?
No, I'm talking to an 18-year-old. I'm just trying to see if young people are still sagging. So they
I
are?
ain't 18 no more.
Yeah.
No, we're definitely not referring to you. We
No.
have an 18-year-old who runs our
18-year-old.
video. So he was asking him the question.
You have me and another person on the line?
No, just go right ahead, sir.
Just go ahead, man.
Okay, we're gonna keep this very professional.
Okay.
I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are awesome. And God is great and God is good, and y'all keep up the good work because y'all is speaking the peace.
All right,
man.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna say one more happy WNOV.
Thank you. So, Carvey, you were in private school, so you couldn't sag anyway, right? I didn't hear you, man. No, you could. Is that right? Yeah. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Parris.
Good morning.
Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Listening to you, brothers. And this is primarily why I called. I was thinking about, I think it's Mr. Tierman Spencer.
City
He's running for
attorney.
re-election. Right.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, um, I think that there hasn't been anything that has come to light or anything like that that we should be so ready to like get rid of him for some other person, because any and every time a black man or black person is elevated or is voted into some position of power and it has awesome impact, or its impact can be awesome, everyone questions the legitimacy of that black man, that black person, intelligence, uh, their aptitude or ability to comprehend and apply and execute from that from an executive perspective. I hear it all the time. I heard about Cavalier Johnson. It was spoken about with Mandela Barnes. Um, all of the brothers and some of the sisters have been. There has been an attempt afoot to defame and debase and just discredit them overall. And even if they have earned their discreditation before they were even allowed to fulfill or attempt to fulfill the obligation of that particular office, it was our very own people who were the main, we were the vanguards of the gossip. I think I say that would be a good way of saying it. So, all in all, when our people are, and you all who work to maintain this reality, this state of governance, or all of this that you all wake up and fight so hard for, and consider it a fight that you're fighting to maintain white supremacy, and you're so gung ho, and you're such a zealot, and you have great feel for this particular role and this ideal that you represent. I think you should be very, very careful as to how you cast your pearls amongst the swine.
So you're voting for Tim Smith.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. I just want to make a few comments. I was not at the community brainstorming, but I did sit on Zoom,
Mhm.
and it was the sound was so. They finally got it together,
Mhm.
but I wanted Zoom to take questions. I wanted someone to Zoom. Some people on Zoom had questions, and those questions never got addressed. That was too bad because a few of us wanted to get a roll call of the candidates of how they would vote for the three referendums. And that would have been interesting, just whether they would vote yes or no without going into an explanation for all three.
Mhm.
And that never happened. And that was sort of sad because that would have been interesting to see how they would have voted or will vote. And as far as Ivan and Chairman Spencer, I don't know yet. On the ballot, he just uses the initial T, and there was a write up in the newspaper about that, why he only used his initial and not his full name. And
What I haven't
um,
seen that article. What was the reason for that? I haven't seen that article.
they're saying that it might confuse people because it's just the last name Spencer, so they think of Spencer Coggs, so they
Yeah,
think of
I kind of thought that when I saw the lawn sign.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's out there. As far as the mayor's race, Mr. Griffin and Mr. Johnson,
And Mr. King.
and Mr. King. I'm so very sorry. I forgot about that. I hear everything Mr. Griffin is saying, but I'm just I wish he could use some of that energy and talent and find it in the right place and use it in the right place to see some changes to come about. Some of the changes she wants to see, I don't know if you can even do it on a local level, like capping the amount of rent
Mm-hmm.
that a landlord can charge. I don't know if that can even be done on the local level
Mm-hmm.
without going through statutes and stuff. But I definitely will probably be voting again for Mr. Johnson, in all honesty.
We'll do this. Let me ask a question if you feel comfortable answering it.
Okay.
What kind of mayor, if you rated him as a mayor, and you want to give me a numeric scale,
Yeah.
1 to 5, 5 being the best, 1 being not the best? What?
I would rate him at about a 2.5.
About half.
About half, because he's not easy running the city of Milwaukee and all the different challenges that he has. And I'm not saying anybody else would do any better.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know, because crime is big, the rents are too high. It's all these big issues going on, and it takes time to get people on board and get your allies on board and bipartisan participation to get some things done.
Mm-hmm.
So I give him a 2.5. I don't think he's done a bad job,
Mm-hmm.
but there's so much more to do, and I'm willing to invest more time with him as a man.
Appreciate you.
All right, thank you so much for the call.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
414-444-5250. 414-444-5250. When we get back, take a deep dive into the MPS referendum. We'll be right there.
March is Women's History Month. Thelma A. Sias is one of Milwaukee's most powerful women because of her leadership and commitment to serve her community. She is proud to be the fifth of 11 children of the late Roosevelt and Pauline Sias. Thelma joined Wisconsin Gas, now We Energies, in 1986. She has received numerous honors, including, most recently, the distinction as Power Broker by the Milwaukee Business Journal. Thelma is a retired executive and the founder and CEO of Sias Group, LLC. Join us in saluting Thelma A. Sias during Women's History Month.
This moment in women's history was brought to you by U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank has more than 50 locations in the greater Milwaukee area. Visit usbank.com. Find a location near you. U.S. Bank, a member of FDIC.
On April 2nd, Milwaukee Public Schools is asking you to vote for a permanent 30% property tax increase. At a time when Milwaukee families are feeling the pinch financially, it's the wrong time for a tax increase. Students and families deserve accountability. We need a comprehensive plan from MPS with real solutions, not just a new tax. Vote no to 30% on April 2nd. Paid for by CFC Action Fund as an in-kind contribution to an
increase in taxes while families are paying more for everything from gas to groceries is wrong. Milwaukee voters should oppose increase in property taxes by nearly 30% in order to provide increased funding yet again to Milwaukee Public Schools. They've already wasted nearly $1 billion in new taxpayer funding, and now they want more? They don't even have a plan on how they'll spend it. Enough is enough. Milwaukee voters should just say no.
paid for by Enough is Enough. Vote no.
Hello, I am attorney Coral Plus, and I'm inviting you to join me for a new show here at WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM. You asked the name of the show? It's Money Talks with Attorney Coral, and it'll air each and every Thursday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon. We'll discuss financial literacy and what part Columbia Savings and Loan can play in your journey to financial freedom. Remember to join us each and every Thursday from 11 till noon, right here at 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
This is for Frank Williams. I will trust in the law.
Until I die. I will trust in the Lord till I die.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
Stay on the battlefield. I'm gonna stay on the battlefield.
You're inside WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
I had to take you to church right quick.
Oh man, you took me to church. That's the one where you marched in.
Oh yeah, that's James Moore right there.
Oh, Mississippi Mass, right?
Mississippi Mass, yeah, Reverend James Moore. You got a caller, man.
I'll do the caller and then we'll get to Reverend Caller. Welcome to the program.
Referendum.
Yes, sir. Caller, welcome to the program. Yep. Good morning.
Yes, I just want to say, I'm the same person that called a few minutes ago. I said you guys are awesome. You guys are doing a wonderful job. And you know what? We need this in Milwaukee. And my name is Michael Durr Hutchins. I would trust in the Lord. And you guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work. And like I said, these kids put their pants up.
All right.
So I will trust in the Lord. You have a wonderful day today, guys. And God bless you.
There was a guy, man, and I know my mom, her. Thank you, man. My mom would listen, and well, he would call in the program when we were at the GLB, and this guy would shout out to all these folks, and then he'd pray for them, man. It was
You know what? That is just wonderful. We need to pray for one another because Milwaukee is an awesome place.
All right, man.
And I would say, I want to, you guys are doing a wonderful job. Keep up the good work. And I'm going to give you a raise.
Wait a minute. What did you just say? He said he's going to give us a raise.
Yes.
Mary Ellen, are you listening?
Tell me about it. Thanks for the call, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right, 414-444-45250, 414-444-45250. I had the great opportunity yesterday to be celebrating Black marriage at the Baptist Church. Let me thank the good folks over there.
You said Black marriage?
Black marriage, yeah. I think it's March 26th, Black Marriage Day.
And, who was the longest tenured marriage?
I'm gonna call them out because they do listen to the program. Hold on, let me find them. But it's Deacon Murphy and Minister Emma Swan. They've been married 65 years.
Wow,
65 years.
Keith, that's almost old.
That's what I was kind of tripping on. And I also pointed out that when I was thinking about the Temptations, I'm older than the group.
The group's no longer with us, right?
Right, but what I'm saying is, as long as they were in existence, well, no, they're still with us. That's what to see them. I know, but yeah, I mean, who's left from any original group? I mean,
Otis is left, isn't he?
he's the last one. And let me say this about Otis: he kept up,
Yeah.
and he's 80 something, right? He kept up, man. I mean, he wasn't off stamps at all. Let's see, the shortest tenured. Well, they don't have the dates here, but I'm looking. For these couples, I actually performed their nuptials.
Well, that might be a good thing.
Yeah, they still married.
That's what I'm saying.
But there was others that I performed in nuptials, and they're no longer.
So it kind of balances out.
Right, and for us, if the good Lord say so, April 8th would be 29 years.
For you and your wife.
Me and my wife.
You talking about your wife, Betty?
No, my wife, not Betty. That's a different conversation.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I'm talking about the one that's on the paper.
Right.
That's
right,
going to be going out collecting all of the biddies. Then
Yeah.
follow up to the program.
Shalom, family.
Good morning.
I don't know if you was getting ready to get into your deep dive on the referendum. Before you do, I had a comment, if I could. Earlier, you mentioned the name Chisholm, and you referenced that he had someone, I don't know where the comment came from, that he was doing the job. And in Michelle's show, they touched on the whole aspect of discretionary prosecutions and recognizing that that's the law. But at the same time, the DA has a duty to also prosecute crime. And so, to give an individual that kind of power where they can make a determination what crimes they're going to prosecute and which ones they're not, it leaves space for their own personal prejudices and biases and discrimination. And I say that to say that if anyone in the listening audience read the story that was done by ProPublica regarding my son's case, Corey Stanley, in that story they revealed that one of the perpetrators in that murder was named Mario Lauman. And during the investigation that Chisholm conducted, he determined that he wasn't going to charge anyone. But in that story, it revealed that Lauman had some military training. Therefore, he lied when he told Chisholm and his team that he didn't know that choking someone could harm them. And they based the premise of his decision on that. Despite the eyewitness testimony, despite the evidence that was there, he chose not to charge them. And after that story was released, it was made known to us that he would have been charged, and he should have been charged by another DA. The individual. Now, this individual has since died. So I say that to say that I spent the last 9 years working to redeem my son's humanity because of decisions made by Chisholm to either not do an investigation at all into the backgrounds of these individuals, or he either did an investigation, covered up the truth about this one particular person. And so, I have to disagree with you that Chisholm did his job, because one time missing it is too many. And the effect that has had on my family, myself personally, but then how I know that it has affected others in our community, whose family members, whether it was by police officers or private citizens, that their lives were taken. And he made a decision not to pursue the prosecution. It speaks to the problem that comes with giving someone unbridled discretion and not being able to have a mechanism that can challenge that to make it function the way the system is meant to function. Because I recall, and again, Michelle's show, I'm gonna let you go after this. One of the, I don't know who was called in, but that shooting that took place at gas station or the store, where the individual walked out, one of the family members walked in, shoplifted something, walked out and got shot by a quasi security guard.
Over on
yeah. So how all of that stuff went down. And that was sort of the commentary that was part of Michelle's show this morning. I know it was a replay, but
Hey, Craig, can I say this real quick? What I
Sure,
was
go ahead.
saying was not that he was doing his job right. I think that because the DA is so dependent on police for their investigation, and in their mind, they feel like, well, we got to have a pretty good relationship with police officers. That's a problem because now that's a blind spot when it comes to police misconduct, right? So that's what I'm saying in terms of the people that are, where the DA would look for support, and he certainly wants. You don't want a DA if you're running for DA and you want to win. I'm not saying you wouldn't win, but if you want to win, you certainly don't want opposition from the police.
Has there ever been talk of taking? I mean, because that's a lot of power, if you will, for one individual to have.
Right.
Absolutely.
Something like a board or something like that. I mean, 3 people and a majority would win or something like that. I don't know. It just seems like he gets to determine.
Wouldn't that politicize the process even more than it's already politicized?
Now, let me say this. There is a mechanism in the state law that allows a victim, the victim's family, to use a state statute and go back to the court system, which is what I had to do, which is the same thing that this attorney Motley had to do for, I think this guy, the brother who was shot in the car in Wauwatosa.
Right.
Anderson.
So they did.
Is that Anderson? Anderson?
Yeah, Anderson was the shooter.
Anderson
was in the car. That was at Madison Park, right? Yeah.
Right. So that process does exist. But the problem is that the family is still suffering through having to go through that when some things are just like blatantly obvious. And if the DA would do the thorough investigation rather than allowing for this deference to, as you described, for to have this unspoken bias towards the police because I need them. Well, that relationship is there, and they all have duty, right? So the police still have their duty, regardless of how a DA might, look at it, the issues, the facts, and so that's what they're supposed to operate on: the facts, the evidence, and the law related to a crime that's committed. If a police officer commits a crime, then he can't say, "Well, I need to turn a blind eye to something that happened because I need them to do the investigation." No, the police need to recognize they still have a duty, right? And that's been the problem, is that this bias that is like left in the back room, and then the public is left in a place where they remain victimized. Because you don't, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna go with this, because this is one of the main things, like the effect that has on you. I mean, and I may reference it. It took me 9 years of work on my own because Chisholm didn't do, and it every part of my life. It was consumed, and I know that all of you know that because I've shared it on a continuum. Even now, I'm still waiting to hear what they're going to do with the other 2 people, and I expect that they're going to issue charges, and that's my hope. Next month, I have another hearing, but the fact is that the charges based on the evidence and the facts and the law should have been issued by Chisholm 10 years ago. And he allowed this person to go out and live his life and then basically expire for whatever the reasons were. And I can say, that the Most High allowed, brought back on his head what he passed on to others. Like that, he said, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay." And that's where I had to operate. And it's something I told Chisholm, because I asked him to do the investigation. I asked him to do a background. I never would answer that question. And so when this ProPublica does a background check, they find that all 3 of these individuals got criminal records. They find that all three of these individuals had stuff in their history that Chisholm would never even divulge to us. So whether he did it or not is a problem. But then the fact that if he did do the investigation and he found out these things, that he covered it up is a bigger problem. And that's where that discretion comes in, because you really don't know what they have found out. But what we are subjected to is discretion. So, that's the real problem. And that's the part, as people said, that's too much power that they're not checks that come in between having to have a family. Because I'm not an attorney. Had I not had the tenacity and the determination to see my son's humanity redeemed, I'd never get to the court. But I had to make a choice on, finding stability again in life, right? Because of what happened. And I'm still on that road to finding that. A part of that stability was doing this work so that my son's humanity could be redeemed. That's the piece when the government takes that from you, they should be held accountable for. And I'm going to be out with that, family. Peace, y'all.
I wanted to say this thing that I actually saw politics at its best, I guess is what they may call it. Could have been its worst. I won't name names, but there was an alder person. There was a nightclub that was having some issues. And there was the neighbors who this particular club lose their license and subsequently closed. Well, the alder person met with the club owner several different times. I was actually present in some of the meetings or what have you. And I know that it was stated, well, I just won't vote. I'll let the committee know what it is that I want, but I'm going to abstain from voting. Well, is that truly politics at its best? Because it basically said to me that everything that we saw on the city channel when we was watching that was all just for show, because the decision was made before it ever came out publicly in the meeting. So she had already got the votes in place before it ever hit the table, he or she.
Yeah.
So is that politics at its best?
Sure. I mean,
probably what happens every day, would you say?
Not being there, but I could suppose that yes, it happens, because politics is what you see, and then as you just pointed out, there's a lot of politics that you just don't see, right? You'll just see the results of what has happened. That's problematic because like, for example, I do know that there was a particular alderman who had a very good relationship with the club owner, and when, as a matter of fact, had a fundraiser. But when the neighborhood opposition became so strong, as an alderman, in spite of your friendship, you got to think those are the folks who are voting you in, right? And so, what are their concerns?
No, and I wasn't trying to take it
away
from. I'm just speaking to, even in that case, how many times were there backman barterings that took place with the Chisholms of the world or what have you, where those decisions were already made before it was announced. It was already known that there would be no charge.
And let me say, and here's the dodge that DAs will have. You all remember Michael Brown in Ferguson? Kind of set it off. Black Lives Matter, Michael Brown. And
he was the one that was selling the loose cigarettes or something.
No, that was the guy in New York. He was the one that stole the cigarillos and went back in the store. The cop followed him and then shot him and basically executed him. It seemed that the eyewitnesses account said that, this is what happened, boom, 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 boom. But there was one person who said something different. And when the feds came in to do their investigation, they said, well, we're not going to prosecute. People go, oh, it was obvious. Because the DA has the bar to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. All defense attorneys are going to do, in many instances when the evidence is overwhelming, is to try to create reasonable doubt. All you need is one juror, right? And they know, based on their data, that, for example, you're trying to try a white police officer in Milwaukee County. Now, I've gone down for jury duty, and kind of you get a sense of what that jury pool looks like. If you get a particular jury pool that's very supportive of police officers, bam, there you go. So I think that's the dodge that you hear DAs use. Well, I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying I can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt in court.
So are they taking into consideration how feasible it would be then to get a conviction? Is all of that factored in?
Yeah. I think you saw it happen in Minnesota with the officer who killed George Floyd. But that was so egregious, so overwhelming. The fact the whole country saw it, it would be very difficult for any DA to say, I'm not going to bring charges. Right? I mean, but then it becomes the others like Breonna Taylor, where you get a Republican attorney general who's trying to make sure that the police look okay in all of this. And so the cop gets charged with shooting at a building. You not for killing her. But they've changed their warrants, how warrants are served, laws have been changed, but you didn't have anyone who had the guts to say we're going to bring those officers into justice. Now, let's look at Memphis. Now, the fact that those 5 police officers are black, see how quickly they went to court? I mean, it was no no. So we still have the systemic racial bias that's baked in. That's what critical race theory talks about, and how you have these things. But those cops got charged so quickly, and then we just saw the 4 cops down at sheriff's down in Mississippi, right? Just caught a case, but a lot of that was because the feds had come in. You're listening to Community Voice. Phone lines open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250.
You still gonna get it? You still gonna talk about the rest of it?
As soon as we get that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, be right back.
My name is Michael S. Harper, and I'm running for Milwaukee County Comptroller. Yes, this is the position that monitors the county's financial accounts monthly and reports to the county executive and board as to their correctness and accuracy. The comptroller and team handles many other fiscal duties and analysis affecting the county. My qualifications include being a former trustee and chairman of Milwaukee County Employees Retirement System, an entrepreneur and small business owner, financial representative with Northwestern Mutual, and an instructor with the University of Phoenix MBA program, and so much more. Right now, you can go to the polls and vote early for Michael S. Harper for Milwaukee County Comptroller, and be confident Milwaukee County's financials are in great hands for years to come. Michael S. Harper, a servant leader who strives to be a champion for the people and prioritize economic growth and prosperity. He is somebody for everybody.
This message was approved and paid for by friends of Michael S. Harper. Serena Harper, Treasurer.
The Center for Teaching Entrepreneurship presents its 3rd annual Big Head Soul Ray, Thursday, May 16th at the Marcus Performing Arts Center in the Bradley Pavilion. I'm Andrea Williams, and I'll be your host for this spectacular event. It's designed to salute the co-founder, Miss Radonna Rogers, as she loved to wear big hats, and this is one way we honor her. We will also celebrate and recognize the accomplishments of Milwaukee's leaders in entrepreneurial ventures.
TTE was founded with the mission in mind to help young people understand business, financial literacy, and themselves, and how they can find their way into the marketplace and be productive citizens. We have found a great way to educate, stimulate, and advance what we're doing within this community.
So, ladies, this is the time to wear your big hat, and guys, your stylish fedora. You will be treated to a delectable dinner and the sounds of Soul Sirius starting at 5:30. The program will begin at 7 with more entertainment and the awards program. Tickets are just $75. Go to Eventbrite using VHS 24 or call 414-788-8104. That's 414-788-8104. This event will kick off the spring season, so don't miss it.
This event is sponsored by Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce, U.S. Bank, Brewers Community Foundation, and BizStart.
Whether you're a seasoned chef or a food enthusiast, you've tuned into the perfect frequency. This is Flavor Fix with Samantha Starr, where the aroma of freshly baked ideas meets the sizzle of exciting culinary conversations. Join us as we journey through the world of flavors, bringing you savory stories, delectable recipes, and the hottest culinary trends. Catch Flavor Fix on Mondays from 5 to 7 right here on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM The Voice.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more back thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hatred, war and poverty. Oh, wake up all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. They're the ones who's coming up, and the world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach them the very best you can.
You're inside Community Voice on WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
Welcome back to Community Voice. That was my original request for my opening.
Really?
But it's already done. Now they said another host that did it in the past. So hey, that's fine. We have Valdez. We're good.
You take this call.
I want to get to the referendum. I'll take the call.
We'll get there.
Okay. Oh, one to the program.
Hey, I just had to call back and add an addition to my earlier comment.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. The world won't get no better if we just let it be. But the comment you made about the discretion of a DA taking into consideration getting, a jury of their peers, which I know the Constitution has that part of the due process, right? So to say that I got to be able to, beyond a reasonable doubt, I got to be able to convict this person. But when discretion of the DA can say that because of the racial history, this is what Chisholm told us, because of the segregated racial history of Milwaukee County, I don't think I can get a conviction. As part of his reasoning for not issuing charges. That again. So what about the due process for the victim? See, this is one of the things that I've been, processing all this time. I understand that the defendants need due process. I don't want anybody to be wrongfully convicted. But when the evidence is there was video evidence in my son's case, and there's video evidence, and there's other evidence in all these cases. But to have this individual have this much power where he can just say, I don't think, because then for the public, we're not able to look inside his mind and see if he's making that decision based on personal prejudices and preferences and biases, or if it's legitimate. So the racial history of Wisconsin, of Milwaukee County in particular, should have very little, if anything, to do with him making a decision that is according to the oath of office duty that he takes when he takes that office. And then then you have this other excuse. They come back and say, well, it's going to cost. Well, accessing the court system costs. So that's all in place before the crime even occurred. The cost of getting, prosecuting a crime is part of the tax taken from the taxes. That's the whole upkeep of the court system. So to use these excuses again, it gives place for the victim's family to point to this is bias, particularly when you know that there's a history in Milwaukee County of the DA's office demonstrating bias towards Black and Latino families, but Black families in particular, when their loved ones are harmed by whether it's the police or a private citizen. And it's generally, society-wide, we have this thing where if it's the police involved, where it's more, more relevant to how society works. I can understand all that, but the law suffered by the family takes no consideration for what the police that did the murder or a private citizen that did the murder, and yet still the system that we live in, it weighs those out differently, right? Because it's a public or service officer, if you will. So there's so many areas in the way that this is run that, again, the world won't get no better if we just let it be. There needs to be some change in the way they've been doing this, because what happens is, I'm going to go back to Michelle, and I'm going to leave. The caller who called in about their family member being shot, this gentleman said, if they don't do the right thing, I'm liable to show up there at the door or whoever he was referencing. And this is a recorded, but I remember hearing that brother say that when he first said it, when that show really originally aired. And I said to myself then, that thought crossed my mind 1,000 times, but I had to tell myself, no, I need to do this the way this system is set up. Because all of these families, I'm sure, have members. I've had my own family members who have said, give me the assets and I'll go fund it. And that's what society leaves itself susceptible to, the Hatfields and the McCoys, getting revenge. If the system doesn't do what it was set up to do, and when it violates your rights, and you find out later, then it makes it even worse. It compounds that pain. So there again, it won't get no better if you just let it be. We need to change some of these things to make them balanced, to make them right. Due process should be across the board, not just weighing heavily towards the defendant so that they don't get violated. We have to make sure that the victims don't get violated too. And when they do, they have to have some recourse through the court system without having to pay $200,000, $300,000 that most of us can't afford. I couldn't afford it. I went to the federal courts, to the federal side of the law, and they said, well, we're just going to leave what the DA did. And he violated us. This is sure now. Because the DA that's on it now, he's telling me, no, if we'd have had the evidence we have now, we would have charged that person. That's the problem. Now it's like a glaring, to me, this is why part of my system is running. Because this back is coming. It's coming his way. This issue charge against it's coming. And I'll just say that, it's not a place where it's just, so one-sided and we can just leave it and let this thing keep going on. Because it's like a powder keg, and it will make some people explode if they don't have the rationale to know that there are avenues to come back through this thing, and that takes a lot of work. I'll be out with that family.
But he wasn't the only one. Michael McCann, he basically operated from the same premise. So he took his lead from his playbook. That's all. That's all it was to it. Thank you so much, Mr. Stingley.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Referendum, man. That's the money they want.
Yeah, couple of things. Well, I've already. On Friday, the Wisconsin Policy Forum released a report on basically it's called the ABCs of the 2024 NPS referendum. You can go to their website, wisconsinpolicyforum.org, and you can pull up a copy of this report. I'm just going through, looking through some of the highlights of the report. And okay, first of all, just my gleaning of this is that if the referendum does not pass, um, MPS will not go out of business. Okay. There, MPS is looking at shortfalls, but MPS is not looking at the shortfalls that the city of Milwaukee had, and particularly when the city of Milwaukee had to deal with its legal obligation to fully fund its pension and some other things. And so that revenue sharing bill was directly because Milwaukee really was on a fiscal cliff in terms of would have been dramatic cut in services had that revenue sharing plan not been done. Now, it is not what we wanted. Certainly, people do not like the strings attached to it in terms of how some of that revenue is used, the restrictions on that revenue in terms of things like diversity, equity, and inclusion, um, the addition of 25 additional safety officers at MPS. So there were some things that was pretty onerous that people certainly had issues with when it came to that. But when you're in a position that you're in, um, I hate to say it this way because you got to take what you can get. And so, in effect, for the short term, Milwaukee has staved off going off. Milwaukee, the city, has stayed going off the fiscal cliff. MPS is a little different, and there's a lot. I know you're hearing. Certainly, I haven't heard any ads for it in terms of the referendum, the $252 million referendum that's on the ballot on April the 2nd. We have heard advertisements against it. I'm troubled by some of the advertisements in terms of numbers that was used and how those numbers were used. But if you go to the Public Policy Forum and look at their report, they do a very extensive job. One of the factors, well, there's several factors in terms of why MPS is in the financial situation it finds itself in. The number one issue is that there has been a significant decline in the students attending public school, particularly Milwaukee public schools. And so I want to think the year was 2004, where there were close to 90,000 students at MPS, and right now the number is around 60,000. So that the erosion of enrollment, i.e., people putting the kids in charter schools, people putting their kids in choice schools, or people just opting, I'm going to pay for private education, I'm not going to send my kids to MPS. And so there's been a significant decline in terms of the student population. I mean, a big decline. This was one of the issues that I had just from a personal perspective. I know that there are people in this country who are hostile to public education, period. Many of those people are not dependent simply on urban public education or rural public education. Those folks are in a better situation where either they live in an area where they have great schools or they have the financial wherewithal then to send their kids to the very best private school. But some of these folks are then driving this whole discussion. So in a nutshell, what I was surprised at was one, when you look at, one of the issues, and I think I did talk to Mr. Morgan and President Hurden about this in terms of average pupil cost, right? The cost per pupil. What I was surprised at was that Racine, in terms of the state, spends the most on its students per student, $16,100, right? Waukesha, we're talking about the 10 largest school districts. Waukesha spends $12,401, right, per student. MPS is at $13,366 per student. Now, I'm looking at what they did in the Public Policy Forum. They said if this referendum passed and there was a revenue increase, that would increase per pupil spending. I'm looking at the number here. It'd be an additional $3,729. What they're saying is that there's a limit based on the property tax cap. So that would put MPS above the state average. And if I'm doing the math, it would mean that per pupil spending would be the highest in the state. Again, that's based on projected revenues from the referendum. Now, MPS has the struggles, right? What? 19, I think the number they gave was 21%. The actual number is 19.1% are students with disabilities, right? We have the highest percentage in the state of large school districts. 14.5% of our students are English learners. That means that English is a second language, and so now they need to learn English. And so when you look at this, and there was infusion of money, I think there was a referendum in 20, where it was like $85 million. Most of that money. Now, there was some things that happened. One, COVID. A whole lot of money was injected. I think their number was like $888,000, $888 million that went into MPS. But the thing with the COVID money was that the COVID money has sunset. That means you have to use that money by September 30th, 2024. There's the sunset on that. That's when the federal fiscal year ends. MPS did have a surplus. What they did with the surplus, due to I think the URSA money that was coming in, was they put that money into their it's called M80 account, which is really going forward for facilities and other things going forward. And so we did get pandemic aid. That money was, first of all, it's sunsetted, and that money then was used for certain things. My wife and I, we were driving, and they said every school got a new electronic sign, right? So what they were spending money on, there was others who were saying you should have spent that money on air conditioning, retrofitting those buildings to air condition because of climate change. Normally, heat wasn't an issue, certainly when I was in school, but now, heat is an issue, right? And so to be able to go on. So there was things that people thought should happen. But again, because of the ending of the COVID money and the continued drop in student population, you can see where MPS has put itself in the situation that it's put in. So I'm just looking, and you really may want to look at that budget document, but if you're not familiar with how to read these big budgets, it can be a little confusing. So again, I would suggest that you go to the Public Policy Forum, pull up their report. They break it down in ways that you can understand. Here's the other contributor to why they're looking at the fiscal issues. They're looking at inflation. That the fact that going back to 2004, there's never been an allowance to allow these school districts to keep up with inflation. I think for Milwaukee, it's something, I don't know what the property tax revenue can exceed, I think 2% new construction. And so that limits what people can do in terms of being able to raise money through direct property taxes. And then what school districts have to do then is make special requests. And that's why you're seeing, I think there's a total of 91 school districts throughout the state who are going in asking for increases in revenue. If February is any indication of how that's going to fare, then most, if not all, of those referendums that were on the ballot in February failed. It's gonna be pretty tough across the state. I think that the people who are leading opposition to this has done a very good job of just creating enough uncertainty that people might think. Now, again, based on what the Public Policy Forum is saying, is that there would be a shortfall, but it's not that MPS is going to go out of business. So, would they be able to survive without the $252 million? The answer is yes. How MPS would look. One of the questions that Rob Hinken asked Supervisor Posey was, he said, before you did this referendum, had you all gone in to look at what it would be to consolidate services, close school buildings, and things like that, and then say, based on that number, here's what we like to get from the taxpayer. From that did not happen. You was hearing that it's ongoing. This is what we do all the time. But there's the issue of some of these buildings right now where you have schools are half empty, right? And so would it not be advantageous then? Well, they're going to have to do it. they're going to have to close some schools and they're going to have to consolidate some schools. I mean, it's just no getting around it. Now, if your child is one of those students at one of those schools and they could be displaced and move someplace else, you can obviously push back. But again, just a short reading of this, and again, I would suggest that people go in. I was trying to look at what it would be per. I think right now they're projecting it's about $216 increase for every $100,000 of home assessed value. Uh, there are many people, though, their homes are not at $100,000.
What does that look like for? Because they're talking about this is going to be standing taxation, basically, where for the next 5 years you'll see that 30% increase reflected.
Well, that's a number that I got a real problem with. That 30%. 30% of what? The ad doesn't say 30%. Is it 30% of your MPS? Because there's when you look at your property tax bill, you'll see MPS on there, you'll see storage on there. So is it 30% of MPS's current operating budget? Is it 30% of what the current tax rate is? So that wasn't very clear to me. That whole $1 billion thing was not also very clear. That has not been explained. And maybe those folks who are in opposition will come on and then give us the actual numbers. But I'm thinking it's 30% over and beyond. And I don't know if, I'm going to use the word, I don't know if that's an aggregate, for the next 5 years that it would end up, but it has to be 30% of what that assessment is for MPS as part of your property tax bill. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. How you guys?
Good. What's happening?
I wasn't gonna call you, and then I was listening to about this, and you never know who God's placed you.
George, you're breaking up, man.
Let me say something.
Mm-hmm.
Is that better, Keith?
Yes, sir.
I just want to say, you never know who God's gonna put in your path, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people who can help you along your journey in life.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to thank God for Craig, because yesterday was my baby's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
She'd have been 44.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you something. Craig held my hand and walked me through this, man, through this journey, because, somebody was saying earlier about wanting justice and
Mm-hmm.
wanting revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody had said earlier that thought never really leaves your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Was I should say, because they did catch the perpetrator, and he's in jail now. I don't think he got enough time for the crime the murder that he committed. But, as a father, and trying to not take it to the place where I would have put the rest of my family maybe in jeopardy and some of his people that were innocent in this. But it does cross your mind. Should have had taken his due out.
Mm-hmm.
And I have folks, just like what Craig said, that wanted to do that. And I said, oh, let's let God handle it, and let's let the justice system handle it. That being said, though, that thought does cross your mind.
Mm-hmm.
As a father, was I a man? Was I not a man? For not killing this dude.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have my good days and my bad days. I did this before, but my always missing her days. And yesterday was kind of rough,
Mm-hmm.
for the whole family. She was the light of our family, the joy of our family. And Craig, man, I just want to say thank you, man, for supporting me and bringing me through this journey. Because, Q, sometimes I didn't know if I was going to make it, man. At times, I have a strong faith in the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that helped also bring me through. But, Craig coming into my life and, listening to the radio station and all that kind of stuff. I know we all got issues and we all got problems that go on, but I just wanted to just tell my brother, and I'm going to call him personally later, and just say thank you for still listening.
All right, man. Appreciate
it.
Yep. People, I think this answers your question about that 30%. If you look right now, the actual tax levy has dropped in terms of what we actually spend, you know, in terms of the taxes, property taxes to go in. Um, and so that is true. There would be a major increase from where we are now, but we've been at one of the lowest points um, in terms of what that actual tax levy looks like. Back in 1993, it was $500 million. Right now, we're a little over $300 million in terms of actual tax levy. That increase would put us up to around $400 million, which is still less than 1993 when it was $500 million. So yeah, it would be an increase over what you're paying now, but then that's relative because we've seen a drop in property tax levies for NPS, and that's based on state aid and some other things. Again, this would put us up around $400 million in terms of generating tax levy based on the referendum. So just kind of where we are. And so that might account for then the 30% increase that you're hearing people. But, you know, when you looked at the highest point, that was 1993, and where we are right now in 2024, actually it's been going down since it dropped in 1997. There was a little spike in 99. 2001, it was steady. 2003 was steady. Began to see increases. 2005, 2007, 2009. It was at its peak in 2009 in terms of where we were after 1993. And right now, in 2021, it's been going up, but we're not where we were in 1993. So,
Keith, do you have any children in NPS?
No.
Yeah, neither do I. I do have grandchildren. Though.
Did your kids go to? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't. My let's see, grandgoddaughter, she's in the Greenfield School District. The other two godkids are in the Wauwatosa School District, and then my other godchild is at Howard Flow. So, yeah, and the fund I was talking about is called Fund 8, which is that fund. A lot of people don't know, which is spent then on things like Milwaukee recreation, right? So those people take advantage of Muni Rec. That's where that fund is for, in terms of being able then to provide those services over and beyond what NPS is doing in classroom instruction. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well.
And good morning to everybody in the studio. I just got a question. I know I'm probably on the late show, and I keep tuning in, but I don't hear what I'm trying to hear. About those other two referendums on the ballot. I don't. People have read them to me, and I just don't understand them. And they're not able to explain them to me. And I thought maybe you guys could.
Well, the person who would have been able to explain it, I know she did last week, kind of went through, would be Michelle. One of the referendums I know was on, I think it was the Gates Foundation that had granted municipalities monies to help voter turnout, voter education. I don't know if Milwaukee had taken advantage of that. So now there is this referendum that says, asking questions, should that be allowed? Should you have private entities who will then come in and provide you funding for things like voter education and voter turnout? And when we're saying voter turnout, that is nonpartisan because for the city of Milwaukee, technically, I think those positions are nonpartisan. And so um, it benefits. But obviously, there are Republicans who don't want to see higher voter turnout. Certainly, higher voter turnouts in urban areas bode well for Democrats. Lower turnout in urban areas bodes well for Republicans.
Right.
And you've seen things like restricting the number of ballot box where you could drop off your ballots. Remember, we were doing it early, and you could drop them off during the pandemic. And see, as long as black folks weren't taking advantage of mail-in voting, it wasn't an issue, right?
Right.
Now it's an issue. Now there's fraud going on. And someone pointed out to Trump, they said, dude, a lot of the people that vote for you depend on mail-in ballots, right?
Exactly.
But when we saw that, and I think the 2020 election, I know that spring election, we saw the highest, I think 2.5 million people voted by mail, because of COVID. And to the fact it overwhelmed the system because we had so much confusion 2 weeks prior to the election. There was then, because of health concerns, I know other people said for political concerns, but for health concerns, you had to close X number of polling places. I think in Milwaukee we were down to 5. I think they were down to 5 in Madison. But I told someone in Chicago, they only had 12. Think about that.
Wow.
They only had 12.
Wow.
So, because that was a public health situation, right?
Yeah.
But the way it lined up, it turned into something else. But yeah, and then when
Voter suppression.
voter suppression, yeah, I mean it was COVID, man. It wasn't let's shut it down because people are going to go vote for a particular candidate, and we would try to stop them from voting for that candidate. That wasn't the case. And I said this during that time. Let's say the election commission decided to keep all those polling places open and had to depend upon the people they had to depend upon who man those stations. They tend to be older, elderly people. And they were the most vulnerable people in terms of COVID-19 and having severe morbidity and severe mortality because of health concerns and age. That's why next time when you're looking at the COVID shots now, they're not recommending that young people get COVID shots because young people have the wherewithal to fight it. It's older people. So I'm just saying in terms of how that looks, whether people do it or not, I don't know if Gates is going to do the money again, but that becomes the issue. I think it was outside. There was another one on there. I didn't understand that one either. So, and I'm supposed to understand, right? But again, I thought Michelle did a pretty good job of
I said,
explaining.
I know who can tell me.
Well, it wasn't
Keith
me.
can tell me.
No, it's Michelle. You got to wait till next week when Michelle gets there.
What made you think Keith was going to know something?
Well, because Keith is he's a very smart man.
Some days.
You have to catch him within his forte, though. His forte is theology.
Politics.
No politics.
I
was
think
a political science major.
I meant as far as biblical and things of that nature. What I was speaking.
If I look at the Bible, I'm always looking at the politics first.
Okay.
Oh, I do. I always look at the politics first. There is politics, and we turn it into this whole spiritual thing. It's the dynamics of power relationships, which politics is all about. And so even, for me, I'm going to look at, there's a book called, I know I'm going down this rabbit hole. There's a book called The Cross and the Lynching Tree by Dr. James Cone, and he talks about the cross, but he points out that Jesus was lynched. Jesus was lynched, and what lynching was. So for me, I'm looking at it, if we look at it, Jesus died for the sins of the world. That's post-resurrection. Prior to crucifixion, there was some social justice issues going on that Jesus was out pushing, and certainly pushing against the religious leadership who was exploiting people and exploiting their positions in terms of religious leadership, and how when he went in and overturned the money changers, he said that there should be a house of prayer, but you turn it into a den of iniquity. Why? Because the money changers were charging, because you had to change from Roman currency to Jewish currency. Roman currency had the face of Caesar on it. That means it could not go in the temple. And so you then had to have Jewish currency that then they could use to buy the little doves for sacrifice. So you had to change the money. And then the money changers were charging them this exorbitant change fees, right? Like the service fees on your ATM. And so Jesus was saying that now you're exploiting people who are coming trying to get to God, and you're exploiting them. So that's a social justice issue. So I always look at it from the politics first, and then we go back. And then after the fact, we get the theology, right? But when you look at it, it always starts with politics. I'll try to get an answer on that second referendum for you, Gwen.
Okay.
All right.
And thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You all have a great day.
You too. You're listening to Community Voice. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for mouth-watering eats and delectable treats, look no further. Eat local and visit the Sherman Phoenix today, where you can find everything from delicious organic wings and smoked barbecue to satisfyingly seasoned vegan food to sweet, buttery, made-to-order desserts. The Sherman Phoenix is also home to a day bar, serving mixed, frozen, and tropical drinks. Experience the Sherman Phoenix effect at 3536 West Fond du Lac Avenue, open Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Visit theshermanphoenix.com to learn more.
Brownstone Social Lounge, Milwaukee's premier downtown social lounge for good vibes, good music, and good food. Offers all-day happy hour every Tuesday and Wednesday. $6 wings, $8 flatbreads, drink specials, and more. Essential Tuesdays. All essential workers receive 10% off their purchase with proof of ID every Tuesday. Kick back with R&B karaoke Thursday, beginning at 7 p.m., followed by Throwback Thursday. Brownstone Social Lounge. Great food, great drinks, fresh hookah, located at 524 North Water Street.
Hello, Milwaukee. I'm Mr. Debo, the program director here at the all-new 860 WNOV. On January 8th of this year, WNOV underwent a relaunch, complete with a fresh logo, branding, format, and new shows. Now you can even stream our talk shows on YouTube and Facebook. We're always striving to enhance your listening experience, and now your watching experience too. As we continue to work on improving, there may be more changes in our lineup. Here's a few of the changes we've made. We've added Sandra Silk and All That Jazz on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Chris Heavy Lovey on Saturdays, with Saturday backtracks and more. Flavor Fix with foodie Samantha Starr. How about Pillow Talk with me, Mr. Debo? On the Porch with Quabanon Anton Nixon. The Difference with Will Martin. Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices, Dr. Kwaku and Naumbo and Pindo. Money Talks with attorney Carl Plez. Brought to you by Columbia Savings and Loan. The Friday Night Jukebox Party with DJ Kevin Buchanan, St. Mark's Lutheran Church with Pastor Marty from 9 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Community Outreach Clinics, Community Heartbeat with more to come. But rest assured, of course, we have our staple shows that have not changed and will not change. Say Something Real with Michelle Bryant, Community Voice with Keith Parris, International Roots Rock Reggae Meltdown with Ross Joel, The Blues Cafe with me, Mr. Debo, Reverend Al Sharpton from 12 until 3. We're listening to you, and we'll get it right together. And thank you for listening to the all-new 860 WNOV and 106.5 FM, The Voice.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
Hey, welcome back. I had used the term URSER. URSER is the Elementary Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. That was part of the pandemic money. MPS received $797 million to spend or obligate by September 30th, 2024. Again, that money went into capital improvements and things like that. Let's say, so facility spending tops the list of allocations, about 32.8% of MPS's URSA 2 and 3 funds. The largest line item in this category included 86 million, 86.9 million for construction at various schools, 25.1 million for capital projects related to air quality, 20.9 million for testing and adjusting air handling systems. And what they were doing was, remember, during COVID, they wanted to make sure air was circulating in schools when the students came back. Accelerate student learning, the second largest category at $24.1 million of the combined URSA 2 and 3 allocations. Again, the largest item in this area was for instructional technology, 15.1 million for science curriculum adoption, support materials, and 15 million on AMP. That would be arts, music, and physical education teachers, and library media specialists. So that money had to be spent on specific products, and it did. Yeah. Yep. So 414-444-5250-414-44. Now there is an interesting line item on here I would love to have someone explain to me, which is it was something about where is it? Textbook, special education voucher, virtual. There was something about the textbook adoptions. That's 29. So I don't know if that's purchase of textbook or somebody's looking at adopting those. That's an interesting thing. All right. And then of course they had to increase pension and healthcare costs. That's $38.8 million. And then they had a 4.1% and salary increase. Paula, welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning, Keith.
Good morning.
Okay, so I've had probably two questions. The first is trying to address the requirement for 60.
I can't. You're breaking up.
And nobody is addressing the residency that should be with MPS. Nobody's addressing that the residency requirements should be brought back because that's a tax base that's totally leaving the city.
Yeah, but that's nothing that.
It's a state thing. It's a state thing.
Right.
But after, in all due respect, that money, one way or another, coming from the same place. And then the other comment that I have is that I was at the community brainstorming this weekend, and then I just did not like the way Miss Griffin was being treated by the moderator. I thought that was just terrible.
I think the issue was that what people took issue with was that she made a statement, and somebody asked, was it true or not? I don't know if it's true or not, but she made a statement, and they were saying, well, you just need to focus on what you're going to do and not be here. Certainly. Now, do not know if the allegation she made, I'm not even going to repeat it, is true or false, but their point was you shouldn't be focusing on the other candidates. Focus on what you're going to do.
That's true, but all around, each time she got up to speak, I just saw the moderator was just really not treating her as fairly as she did the other one.
Well, I think it was because the first time she got up and the interaction the first time, and I think that then when she got up, she wanted to let folks know that they can't censor her, and I appreciate all that. But let me say this: someone Debo was asking me about the arts of politics. There's a young lady, Miss Brenda Beckley, who gave me and my wife some of the best advice we ever got in our whole life. She says that everything that comes up don't have to come out. Mm-hmm. Read the room. Read the room. We're not saying what you said was or was not true. Was it appropriate for what you were there to do? In my estimation, it was not, but I understand she's trying to get votes. And there are a lot of people who you want to be able to go, I'm going to just tell the truth. Sometimes, and I know for all you truth tellers, sometimes you got to know when to tell the truth, right? I mean, and not to say it makes it any less true, but maybe that's not the venue for that particular truth. Just an observation. So I think that's what set that off. It's obvious she's very smart. It's obvious that she has a commitment to the community and that she cares. That's the first time I've ever seen it, but that came across to me. But I do think that sometimes how we present an idea, sometimes it's not the message, it's how the message is presented that will then kind of shut people down. Then they stop listening. And I know because, oh man, and I'm one of these people, and help me, Jesus, help me, Black Jesus. You know you're right. I mean, and you feel strongly about it, and you want to, but what was the reaction in the room?
Well, in part, she got some praise, and other times she did not.
Right, because it's just and I know that's hard because if all you know is to go a certain way, now you might have to pivot and make adjustments. And for some people, that's very difficult to do because this is how I do. This is me being me, right? And I'm just saying, well, but here you also, and I don't know, I mean, she's on the ballot on 3 different city elections, right? She's running in 2 automatic districts and she's running for mayor. That's another thing that people might look and go like, oh, well, what's that about? Because if you're running in 2 automatic districts, it means you don't live in one of them. If you live in either of them, because you don't have to live in the district to run, right? I think you have 60 days or 90 days to move into the district if you're elected. And that's the other thing, because when I did a candidates forum, I asked the question, how many of you folks even live in the district? Because if you don't live in the district, but you want to run to represent that district, then you have some explaining. Because the impact is very different because you're not in that district. But yeah, I hear you. I think that it was what Martha was saying was, hey, this wouldn't be appropriate for right now. Again, not to say what you're saying is not true. I didn't hear anybody say that. What they were saying was this was just inappropriate. So it depends on where you sit on that. But again, and I don't understand how people run for office and they don't care if people don't vote for them. That's counterintuitive to me because I'm running for office to get elected, right? I need people to vote for me. So I guess it's how much you're willing to do to get people to vote for you. But
and the last thing, I think that she was trying, and when you mentioned that she was running for several different things, it just appears to me that here's a young lady that's trying to reach out to help the city in any way that she can, whether she get elected mayor, whether she go for alderman. She's committed to change, and she just seems to have the guts to say things that other people are not willing to say. And I do get it now that there's a forum for different things, and Saturday just wasn't one.
So
of them.
let me ask you this question then. How do you translate that into tangible action? I mean, I can come in and I can cite this, I can cite that, but then how then do I change that? And if I need to change that legislatively, how do I then put myself in a position to be able to make that legislative change? So I guess that's what I'm asking, that not what you're pointing out is not true. When she talks about the health disparities, that's true. And she was on point. She was really on point. But now the question becomes, now you've identified that, what is your solution to that?
Well, see, the thing about it, she has to be in a place where those type of policy changes are being made, and they are not necessarily made from an alderman standpoint.
Okay.
But she can make the argument that will reach all the way up to Madison by going up to Madison and having things to say to the people that are in position to make legislative changes. But these things she pointed out, you do get brownie points for being able to observe different things that's happening when it comes to the health thing. But as an alderman, you're basically powerless because that's not what that position is able to administer.
Well, some of the health issue, because Milwaukee does have a health department. So the question might be, what is the role of the Milwaukee Health Department in dealing with some of these negative indices and the disparities in healthcare, and especially among the poor? So how do you need to advocate for that? Is there certain city policies? Is there an approach from the health department that can go in and try to ebb some of this or mitigate some of the healthcare disparities? We understand that most of this stuff is systemic, right? That when we were working on the infant mortality issue, we would get in and we talk about all the things that the mom should do, prevent co-sleeping, getting the babies separate cribs, all these different things we could talk about, right? But The reality is that many 50% of those young people who died in the hospital. So we didn't even know. So now what are the systemic things that contributes to these negative birth outcomes for Black women? You're right that the alderman can't do anything about it. I mean, the health department could apply for a grant to go in and try to help it, but these are systemic. But I hear what you're saying, man, and I'm glad you were there. You stayed for the whole thing?
I did. I stayed for the entire whole thing, even when it came to when the different people that was running for supervisory positions. I stayed until they closed the doors.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to be I didn't want to miss anything.
So what was your overall take in terms of how the candidates presented themselves?
Well, some of the candidates, they presented themselves pretty well, and a lot of them was basically grasping at straws because each one of them was given a different question they asked, but it wouldn't have been a question that they would have rehearsed for. And so my overall is I got a chance to see some of them that I was able to see that was perfectly in line for some of the positions they was asking for. And believe it or not, I do like Miss Griffin. I'm going to say why I do, because she had the guts to say things, whether the forum was right for that or not.
Mm-hmm.
She was able to stand on some things. And a lot of times, even when you're right and you know you're right, you must stand up, even if you're standing alone by yourself.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a good forum, except for when people were interrupted and they wasn't given a chance by the moderator to do what they should do.
Another quick question: were any beyond the citywide office, countywide offices? Was there anyone there from either your automatic district?
I didn't see a single person there from District 7 because I was in that automatic. If they were there, I didn't hear from them.
Oh, yes. What's his name was there? Jackson was there.
Okay, well, I must have missed him because I didn't get a chance to hear him. But I'm from the 7th automatic.
So that's Jackson and Curry, right?
Yeah.
Right. Jackson was there. Yeah. He's the union organizer. The guy that was the union organizer. That was his background.
Oh yeah, the guy that was the guy that was sitting on the end.
Right. We're talking about his son, how his son was at work right now making time and a half, and his son was making $34 an hour.
His son was somewhere working and he was there, and my being a tradesman myself, but I got a chance to listen to him.
Yeah, that was, but no, he made a great point, and he was saying, like, what is a kid like 19, 20, something like that?
Yeah.
And he was making $34 an hour and he's working the weekend. He said, you know what that means? Cha-ching, time and a half, right? Weekend differential. Yeah. But okay. So you did have someone there from your automatic district.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for the observation. I think you're making a great point. But I just think that, people need to be kind of mindful, but I think that comes from experience. So, all right, man. Appreciate you. All right, you listen to Community Voice. We're up on the last break of the program. We'll be right back.
Sponsored by the new Pitts Mortuary, located at 2031 West on Capitol Drive. Pick your tickets up 45 in advance, 50 at the door. On my way home, the Captain Spiritual. Oh, the gospel for he's blessing me. I feel it in my feet right now. Baby, you better meet me there. Brunch at 1. The show begins at 4 p.m. The fabulous Lucky Brothers, my soul is a witness. I feel it down on the inside. Be right there at Abundant Faith, located at 7830 West Good Hope Road. Oh, Willie Rogers, you're going to a meeting on that day. I see them marching down the street. Come on in from everywhere, northwest, south. Oh, it's going down. There's a leak in this old building, Bishop Neil Robertson, and my soul has got to move. Don't you miss it. Call the new Pitts Mortuary 414-447-6000. It's going down at the Soul Stirring Gospel Easter Bash. Oh, I gotta stop right there. Brian McIntyre, my feet got light. I feel myself flying right about now. Come on now, you don't want to miss it. Be right there in the house. It's going down. Come on now, Tiffany Terry. Everybody know he's my friend. Oh, you don't want to miss it. You be right there. That Soul Stirring Gospel Easter bash. That food is going to be yummy, yummy, yummy. I'll tell you, come on now, Reverend R.L. Bush and the Revived Sons. Put the weight on me. Oh, not that kind of weight, because that food gonna be so scrumptious. Pick your tickets up at the New Pitts Mortuary.
Tickets are also available at Nicavani's and Mayfair Mall on the second floor.
Black history is something to appreciate, celebrate, and participate. Play Ode is a mobile app that streams America's best Black-owned radio stations and podcasts from across the country. ODE stands for Our Digital Entertainment. Play Ode features music and entertainment for us and by us. Listen to WNOV The Voice Milwaukee on the Play Ode app. Elevate your radio listening and participate in supporting Black radio. Download PLAYODE or log on to odeaudio.com for info and insight.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
Hey, we're back. Now, Carvey was just telling me about a bad high school basketball experience he had. I guess they're arch rivals, too. Those are arch rivals, right? Wisconsin Lutheran, Milwaukee Lutheran, Wisconsin Lutheran. But anyway, I'm trying to think of this young lady. I don't know if anybody's watching the women NCAA. Oh, my God. First of all, and I'm a big Dawn Staley fan. I've been a Dawn Staley fan since forever. Dawn Staley, I love Philly ball players. Dawn Staley from Philly, University of Virginia. She goes in, turns that South Carolina program around. They have not lost in almost 2 years. And what they did who did they get yesterday? They were up by 40 in the first half, first quarter, second quarter. It was just amazing. But I'm trying to remember this young lady. I don't know if she was with Middle Tennessee State or who she. Oh, man, this little sister could play. There's some great ball players out there. Tahina Paopao, that girl is pure. The only problem with Tahina is she's small. But, man, that girl can shoot. And South Carolina this year, I don't know if you all remember last year in the Final Four, South Carolina lost, I'm trying to think, to Iowa. And what Iowa did with South Carolina last year was basically dare them to shoot outside shots. They had no outside shooters. They were just big. Not this year. Not this year. I mean, South Carolina is complete. They got size. They got skill. They got a little girl coming off the bench. Not Paopao. What's her name? The African name. She's a freshman. She's incredible. So I'm geeked. Watching women's college basketball and look at South Carolina. But Coach Staley, I would just say to you, beware, because on any given day, David can show up. And so looking forward to that. I know tonight is they have games tonight. And again, as we were talking about with the men, all the top seeds proceeded. Most of the number twos got in. Wisconsin, I think they were overranked. They weren't a 5 seed. So, all right, man. Anything, Debo? Boogie?
Good.
You good?
Congratulations, Marquette. They got in. They got in.
Oh man, they got in, man. They got in. They my guy on that team is Stevie Mitchell.
Oh, he can ball.
I love Stevie Mitchell, man. Stevie Mitchell makes it. Huh?
Y'all don't like my little cousin?
Who's your cousin?
Joplin.
Oh, Joplin's cold.
Yeah, he can ball too.
He's bigger than I thought he was.
That's my cousin Frank's grandson.
Is that right? He's about what, 6'7"?
Remember his mom Lisa? She was a police officer over here on Fond du Lac.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Officer Joplin.
Oh,
Sergeant Joplin. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's his mom.
Yeah,
wow.
That's her son.
He wasn't in the car with her, was he? That wasn't the son that was in the car. She was teaching how to drive. Is that the we're talking about the one that got shot? No. Oh, then that's different. No, you said Sergeant, but no. What is he, about 6'6", 6'7"?
That was what the boy name was here a couple weeks ago? The one that got shot.
Oh, Claude.
That was Claude that got shot.
No.
That was never mind, Keith. That went right over.
I know it did. But the interesting thing, Bria was there when that correctional sergeant got shot. She was right across the street. She witnessed it.
Are you talking about the one on 51st and Campbell?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, Joplin, was he about 6'6", 6'7"?
Yes,
He's
yes.
bigger. Oh my
He had
God.
a big slam.
Oh
too.
man.
Nice.
Cam Jones.
Yes.
You don't remember Frank Fair? He played Lincoln North.
Yeah.
In those days.
Okay.
That's his grandson.
Man, yeah, he's good, man. They're just little. And if they get up against a team, that happened to him last year with Michigan State, because Michigan State looked like grown-ass men compared to them. They looked like little boys because Michigan State had all those juniors and seniors, and they were big. Yeah, oh, man, they said that trip to Italy. They did a trip to Italy. But again, if they can do what they do, they certainly can shoot and call it. Man, you got to.
Glad we got him back.
Oh, man, and somebody was saying that, they said, I guess they just gave up trying to force him right, because he was going left. It was like they used to say this about Lenny Wilkins. Say, everybody in the gym know he's going left, but can't nobody stop him, right? Yeah, so shout out to Marquette, the Golden Eagles. Let me thank Debo. Boogie, let me thank you, Carvey. Let me thank you, callers. Thank you. The good Lord willing, Creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace. And I'll be in for Michelle tomorrow.